Hey guys and gals, welcome to another lesson video. Be careful what you wish for, because you guys might actually get it if you want me to keep on doing these videos so quickly, and I have no problem really doing that as long as I have the time. So today I decided to do a simpler song aside from the juggernaut that Sphere of Innocence was. This one of course is in standard tuning, and I think Sphere of Innocence is the only song that I'm going to do that's going to be in some sort of altered or different tuning other than standard, even if it means dropping the pitch up and down. I decided to do 54 Duncan Terrace, which is actually a good suggestion from I forgot who suggested it, but someone did. And I went through it again. I had transcribed it before, and it actually is a pretty simple, pretty easy tune. So I thought this would be a really good video to do because it's short and simple. The chords are pretty easy. Not a lot of the chords physically are very tricky, except for like maybe one or two. But as I always say, you can change the voicing around a little bit. But this is the way that Allan plays it. I also decided to use this video to talk about a specific chord voicing that somebody talked about. Someone left a comment in the past, and he wasn't wrong, but I like to think of this chord another way, and I wanted to go into a little bit more of an analysis of it because this chord is also used pretty predominantly in the song. I had not only used the version that's on Secrets, but Allan had also recorded the song with Gordon Beck. I think the album is called With the Heart in My Song. And I actually prefer that version better because there's a couple of little things in the Secrets version that is sort of, not really omitted, but it's kind of hard to tell what's going on. In the Gordon Beck version, it's actually a little bit easier. And it's also tough to know which one's really the definitive version because the song was never played live. So I'm going to use the Secrets version pretty much as my template, but I'm going to refer to the Gordon Beck version with some of the altered, or some of the different chords that Allan would use in place of other chords, different voicings. But ultimately, it gives it the same effect. So, yeah, let's get started. So the chord that I want to talk about is this one. The reason why I want to talk about it is because it appears in the song. But there are two different ways you can think of this chord. You can think of it as a C6 over 9 if you consider the lowest note your root. So you have C, 6, which is your A, your 9, which is a D, and then your high note up here as a E, which is your major third, which is fine. But the reason why you can also think of this as a minor add 11, which is what I do, because it just, to me, makes sense with how Allan thinks of triads. So you have an A minor here, A, C, and an E, but now you're adding the 11. And he uses this sort of triad configuration pretty frequently, or at least this kind of idea. He'll even take the first finger and move it up a half step, and now you have F major. F, A, and C. And he uses those in conjunction with each other pretty often. I know he uses this idea in Metal Fatigue. 3 Sheets to the Wind starts out like this. So right there you have that minor chord. You have that E major, and then it goes to C major. So not only can you play, if you think of this as A minor, you can think of moving the C to C sharp, and you have A major. See if I can get my finger out of the way. C sharp, A, and E. And then you can add the 11 there. So I think that makes more sense, because if you treat the lowest voice as your root, you're going to have a weird chord. You're going to have a flat 6, a flat 9, and a minor third, and that's not really, you can't really get a nice sort of chord name out of that one. So I think it makes more sense as a minor add 11 and a major add 11. And then you have obviously this as a major chord, and if you want to make that minor. But I've actually never seen Allan use this particular form to play minor. Right here I'm playing C, A flat, and F. So this is like an F minor. But, excuse me, he uses this idea quite a lot in a few of his songs. Like I said, 3 Sheets to the Wind. And where I first saw it in Things You See. So the beginning part, once the vocals starts like this. played one chord wrong. I haven't thought about it or played it in a while. But there, that's all triads. The first one is C minor, and then you move these two notes down, and now you have a B major, and then B flat minor, C sharp major. I think I played it right. Yeah, B major, G sharp minor, and then this F major 7. And he likes to use this shape a lot with the major 7. You'll see him use that configuration quite often in his songs. So that's how I think he's thinking of these chords as major and minor. And like I said, he uses it in this song frequently. He does it in Lanyard Loop. It does it from Out From Under, something like this that's similar, because not only can you put the root on the low E string, but you can also put it on the A string, and you have this. So you have like an A major triad, and then you just move the third over to the 4, you have a major with an add 11, and of course the minor version of it as well, like this, which would be the equivalent of playing this. So they're all the same chord, but for whatever reason, sometimes Allan chops up sort of the different ways he's playing them, whether he's aware of it or not. But that motif appears in this song, so I'm going to treat them as the way that I just mentioned, not as those 6/9 chords, but as add 11 chords, because I think they make just more sense name-wise. Sometimes it might make more sense as a 6/9, but I think when it's used in conjunction between major and minor versions, like I just showed you, I would think of them as add 11s, major add 11, minor add 11, and not 6/9. Alright, so that's enough of that, and let's go through the song now. So as I had mentioned, this song is actually relatively easy on the Allan scale. Sort of like, this is probably like a 2 out of 5, or maybe even a 1.5 out of 5, because it only has 1 or 2 chords that are really, I would think, tricky to reach. Not that I have any difficulty, but I gotta like move my arm a certain way instead of being able to play it and not twist my body around. So this particular song, this version, I'm gonna go off the Secrets version that he did. This song was also recorded for with Gordon Beck. I think the album was called With the Heart in My Song, and I kind of used both versions to get an idea. So I'll just mention where I think it changes, or where you can sort of substitute a chord. So the beginning of it starts off as, which is a D major with the major 7 on the bottom, D with the C sharp in the bass, or D major 7. Then, to the chord that I was just talking about, I would think of this as a B minor add 11. Then you move that shape all over, but now you take your pinky and put it on the A string, and now you actually have a G minor add 9, which is, I love this version of it. I think it's a really slick way of playing that chord, because you have now the minor third on the bottom. Then after that, this is the hardest chord of the song, D major 7. You have a D, F sharp, A, and C sharp. So that's the trickiest one to play here. Then from there you go to a G major, add 9, to an E flat minor 9, add 9, F sharp major 7 with the major 7 on the bottom, third inversion. So this is F sharp major with an F sharp on F on the bottom, and then F minor add 9. Now this song repeats again, but with a slight variation. Well, at least in the beginning, it's pretty similar. D major 7 with the major 7 as the root. Now, instead of it being B, it goes to A minor add 11, back to G minor add 9. Now, in the recorded version, in the Secrets version, you just hear a a loud B power chord in there. But in the Gordon Beck version, it's a little bit easier to hear what's really going on there. It's actually a B major with the major 7 B flat on the bottom. So it's a B major with the B flat on the bottom. And this is also one of the very, very rare Allan songs where the bass, I believe, follows the lowest note of every chord that Allan's playing. That doesn't always happen, but in this song, the lowest note that's in Allan's chord, the bass is always playing. So, B major 7 with major 7 on the bottom. Now it goes back to G major add 9 to E flat minor add 9. Now this is the intro version. When it goes to the solo version, it's a little bit different. I'll cover that. Then you move that up a minor third to F sharp minor add 9. And then A major add 9. This time you don't play the 5th with your finger, you kind of just omit it, but it's the same chord. And then here, a boring old F major 7 chord. I think this is the only time I've ever seen Allan actually play this chord. Maybe, I think actually maybe in Letters of Marque he might have done it once. But this is incredibly rare for Allan to play a more traditional voicing of a major 7. So this is F major 7. Then it goes to B flat major add 9. F minor add 9. And then there he's actually pulling off, I believe, to go from the 9 to the the minor third to the 9. E flat major. Plain old E flat major chord. And then finally, this, I don't know if I've talked about it, I know in my book I talk about this. This chord is a B major add 9 with the add sharp 11. And the reason why I think of that is because it's built from this voicing. And instead of just, you can't really use your first finger to get over there. I think actually I might have mentioned this in my Tullio video, but if you bring your first finger over, you can hit that sharp 11, and then the bass would be playing the B anyway. But that's the effect that it has. Sometimes he'll even play the major 7. Like that. So that's the whole main section. That's it. And that's really, the whole song repeats, and there's an ending tacked on. So this is the part that I was saying before with those major add 9s. So it starts off D major, add 9s, add 11s. So this starts out with a D major add 11. So here you have D major, D, F sharp, and A. And then you're adding G as the 11. Then you take that same exact voicing shape and you move it down to B minor. So now you have B, D, and F sharp. And you're adding the E in there, which is the 11. And then you have a G major add 11. This one's very dissonant because of the B and the bass. Then it goes to A minor add 11. And he even plays the A on top and then the E. Then you move that up a whole step back to B minor add 11. That whole thing repeats again. D major add 11, B minor add 11, G major add 11, A minor add 11, and then you end on F minor add 9. That cool voicing of it where you actually have the minor third on the bottom. So that's the whole song that repeats over and over again. The only difference is that during the solo there's a couple of little changes. So I'll play through how the solo would go and just talk about what's different. Now here, instead of playing a minor add 9, E flat minor add 9, he'll sometimes play this. This E flat sort of 9 sus 4, I guess. So it's basically a D flat major with an E flat in the bass. You can also substitute this chord with a minor 11 by just putting the G on the top. Or sometimes he does this in both versions. I think this is in the Gordon Beck version, and also this D flat major 7 is in there as well. But if you add E flat in there, you can think of it as sort of just an extension of an E flat minor. So that's the only chord that really has a lot of variation to it. But I think during the solo, it probably sounds better to keep this as E flat 9 sus 4. Then it repeats everything the same way. Sometimes you can play the 6 on the top. I think he does that. And then for the B major, add 9, add sharp 11. You can even add the major 7 on the top. Now what happens is during the solo parts, the first repeat, you play that major at 11 section, but it's now everything's transposed down a half step. So instead of it being D, you have D flat major with an add 11, and it doesn't use the same kind of version like that. You just hold this chord out for 4 beats, and then G flat major with an add 11, A flat minor add 11, B flat minor add 11. Repeats the same way. Now, from there, after this part, it repeats right again, back to the beginning of the section, and it's identical. Then from there, the last part of the solo repeat is then it plays the ending part in the correct in the correct key, starting on D major. And then it repeats again. So the whole solo section sort of has like 2 endings. The first ending, that part is a half step down. The major add 11 part is a half step down. And then when it repeats again, oh, and then of course it has the one chord sort of cut out at the end. And then the second repeat, you then play the part just like in the beginning of the song. So the form is a little odd because it doesn't, it changes a little bit. The head is the same thing that's what everyone's soloing over, but there's a slight variation of it. But that's the whole song. It's, like I said, relatively simple. The form, if anything, might be more confusing, but there's a lot of repetition of the same chords over and over again. So yeah, that's 54 Duncan Terrace. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll probably have another song, another simple one, which at least what I would consider simple, for next week. I don't know when, but I'll try to get it out there. So thanks again. If you got any questions or comments, even if the form is a little confusing, just send me a message and I'll respond to it and I'll clear it up. So thanks again, guys.